Tassin back to Cincinnati. We will have full coverage from Paul Brown Stadium. I'll be out there in Cincinnati. Luke is going to be monitoring all things Orioles and the backfields at Owings Mills all week long. But, we always know this week if the Orioles are in, we feel good about it. And obviously the Ravens starting their season. But you never know with the Terps, right? It's a little bit of a box of chocolates, certainly with the new coaching staff, where the direction they're headed in, this toughness of this Big Ten schedule. The Texas game looked very, very big. And I know when Tim Strachan and I got together a couple months ago to discuss some summer ball around here, and I haven't had him on, and it is good to have Tim back on. You can follow him at T13 Strachan. That's Strachan. Longtime radio color analyst down there in College Park. Tim, this is, I'm going to call it a program-changing win down in Texas, and the only way you can get a program-changing win is to schedule it and to be a 3-touchdown underdog, as they were. It's one of the most amazing things I've seen Maryland do, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, it's program-changing. Yeah, the schedule was made, I think, back when Ralph Friedgen was still the coach, wow. To be honest with you. But the fact that they went in, and let's back up a little bit more. I don't think Texas should have ever been ranked in the top 25. Okay,
fair enough.
There's nothing that really indicated why that was so. And then after the game, you kind of say, they probably shouldn't have. But they were 17-point underdogs. People gave Maryland no chance. They went on the road to Texas, to a historic program where there was not quite a capacity crowd, but it was like 90 plus or something like that. Still, a lot of people consider that a hostile territory. And for Maryland to have to battle back from some adversity, not once, not twice, but 3 times in a game, and then do it with a true freshman backup quarterback at the very end to hold off Texas from taking over. Overall, it was a program-changing win.
Let's start at the beginning. Obviously, you go down there. The place is big. You've now been to Ohio State and Michigan. And, Maryland takes these games on now. This isn't little ACC Maryland anymore. They have to go and see Camp Randall. They're going to go and see Iowa before it's all over with. So, fine. It's all Nebraska last year. So the Texas thing shouldn't feel that big for this program. But it's certainly from a fan standpoint, it does feel big with hook 'em horns and all that. You go down there. You get picked a minute and 20 into the game. They're celebrating. The sea of burnt oranges out. That was a hellstorm as a three touchdown underdog. I mean, to rebound from that's the way the season started. It really does set quite a tone that this team will rebound, right?
Well, I've said over and over again, the most impressive thing was, like you said, after the pick six on the first pass of the game, going 3 and out on your following series, only to bounce back with 27 unanswered points. That showed a lot of resiliency. And again, some of these kids have played, yes, but they're still sophomores, redshirt freshmen. A lot of those kids, that are playing and contributing are young guys. Now you still have your Jermaine Carters and guys like that. I thought the defense played extremely well. They played extremely aggressive. I was really impressed with the way that they kind of turned it on in the second quarter and third quarter, even though they got worn down a little bit. But still, it was very impressive the way these kids just kept battling back and kept hitting Texas right in the mouth with a counterpunch every time Texas tried to, make a game of it.
Well, you think about the kind of recruiting Texas could do down there, right? I mean, the kinds of kids that they're getting there, the size of the state, Friday Night Lights, all of that stuff. Buechele, who has a famous last name as well if you're a sports fan. You have all of that going on, and I think the story was Pigram until he got injured, and then after that, Ty Johnson. I mean, they threw the ball pretty well, and they ran the ball very well.
It's exactly right. And, I was very impressed with the way that Pigram threw the ball. I said a bunch of times last week that he really needed to grow up in the passing game. He had to make a significant step because what we saw last year were even the hitches, slants, and easy throws were hitting receivers in the feet, or it was bouncing before it even got to them. This past week when he played against Texas, those hitches, slants, and those types of passes were right on the mark. And then as they got the running game going, those deep balls were absolutely beautiful. He had one that was bad. Other than that, the rest of them were all catchable. The rest of them, he gave his playmakers a chance to make a play on the ball. And that's what a running game does to you. It sucks that defense up, and then you can go play action over top. And Walt Bell talks all the time about this is an offense designed to put up points. They put up 51 points against Texas. That is extremely impressive.
Well, and then there's a Texas side of this where they're completely the opposite, right? I mean, Buechele's throwing the ball around 52 times in a game. I don't know that they'll see a lot of 52 passing teams here in the Big Ten. Not a lot of teams are going to try that on them. And obviously they got behind by so much. They had to go put the ball up in the air. Running the ball wasn't going to be the game when you're down by 3 touchdowns, right?
And they weren't having a whole lot of success running the ball. They had a little bit there in the third quarter, but I think that's because the Maryland team was on the field for so long they got a little bit winded. Other than that, Texas couldn't really run the ball that well either, so they had to go to the air. And you're right, not many of the Big Ten teams that Maryland's going to face is going to play that style of ball. But regardless of what style of ball any team's going to play, after seeing what Maryland did against Texas, I feel really good about just about any game that Maryland's going to go into for the rest of this season.
Is there a little bit of a point where even with Hill and against Towson, and look, Towson, UCF, we'll get to the schedule in a minute, but I don't want to call this a bye week. That would be disrespectful to Rob and everything Towson does. And certainly, I saw Towson go down to Maryland a couple years ago and almost beat them. I know we were at a different time and a different place, and certainly this win over Texas changes everything about what a Towson or a UCF game represents, I think, the next couple of weeks, right?
Well, listen, yes, Towson's a very good football program at the FCS level. Should they go into any FBS program and beat them? No, they should not. Could they give them somewhat of a game? Can they make it a challenge? Absolutely, they could.
Well, Howard's not supposed to beat UNLV either, but they did, right?
Of course not. That was awesome to see. Very happy for Mike London on his first game.
I just want to throw that your way because I know you know all these people. I mean,
sure.
we had a tragedy with Mike Loxley over the weekend. It's just it's been a lot of Maryland in the news here, and not even the soccer program on Friday playing Indiana as well.
Yeah.
But it's a big time down at College Park right now.
Yeah, it is. And what I expect to see with Maryland this coming Saturday with Towson is every year, your first game to your second game, you make your biggest improvement on the year because you get all those jitters out. You work on all those special teams plays that kind of went awry during the Texas game, the blocked field goal for a touchdown, a 91-yard punt return for a touchdown. You can get those things kind of shored up because you can't really go full speed during fall camp and practice on special teams plays, or else you're going to get guys hurt, probably. So the first time you go full speed is the first game. They have a lot of things they have to fix there. You can fix a lot of things on offense, fix a lot of things on defense. Towson is, no disrespect, but it is more of a tune-up game, okay? They're supposed to go out there, supposed to beat Towson. They can get those things corrected against an opponent that they know they should beat, and you get a bye week, and then you get a UCF team that's looking pretty good. They put up 60-plus points in their game this past weekend. So that's not going to be a cakewalk, but that's going to be a great setup for the Big Ten slate. And if Pigram is hurt and truly hurt and not going to be able to play for some, if not all, of the season, we don't know any official word on that yet. It does give Kasim Hill, the true freshman, young kid, the reps and the experience he needs to get ready for that Big Ten slate.
He is Tim Strachan. You can follow him at T13 Strachan. And, of course, he's the longtime radio color analyst for the Terps and the Terps Radio Network, as well as a local motivational speaker. And, boy, what does this say about Durkin to get people thinking about Maryland here? Because the notion was they were going to get down there, they were going to lose 40-23 or whatever, they were going to come back and they'll take care of it. Now the thought is they might be 4-0 by the time they see Ohio State. I don't want to count chickens here, and obviously UCF, you got the game out in Minnesota, which is not going to be an easy game to go out to Minneapolis and win, but there is a sign of life here, and maybe much like when they beat Purdue 51-0 last year, that it does sort of put the light on a little bit to say, hey, look at us on a Saturday. It's not just Redskins and Ravens going on around here. And you know, Tim, you live in the area, you live in the DMV. You know, there's a lot of Redskins and Ravens going on around here this week because that's the way opening week is.
Well, beating Texas is big. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to beat the Ohio States, Michigans, Penn States of the world just because you beat, a Texas team with a first-year coach. But I think Durkin has done a great job of changing the culture inside Gossett Team House, which has now spread to, the fan base and those that want to be a fan of Maryland. And I'll tell you what, Nestor, ever since that game ended, while I was still in Austin, on the plane on my way back, at the Labor Day parade, on Monday. People were coming at me from every direction going, that was awesome. That was so exciting. That was a great game to watch. I can't wait to see what else they can do. That's what happens in this town when you have all those other sports and those other teams competing for the dollars of fans. When Maryland wins, people start to pay attention. And that's what Durkin's building right now. And you got the facility now coming. You got these recruits coming. I think that Maryland football is going to be a force to reckon with in the next 2 or 3 years. And people are going to start getting on that bandwagon because they are exciting. College football in itself is exciting, and I think Maryland fans want Maryland to always be good. But they're really not going to show up until they actually show that they are something that you want to spend your money on, and that's what Durkin's doing. And we saw that in the Texas game. We saw a program with a second-year coach, that had resiliency, that was able to bounce back from adversity and hold off and win, versus a team that was with their first coach, making a lot of mistakes, a lot of shooting themselves in the foot. I think they're going to be good at Texas, but that's what we saw, and I think Durkin's doing a great job of laying foundation last year, and this year starting to turn heads and let people know that he is for real as a head coach and that this team is on the rise.
Man, once it got to be a 3-point game, it was back and forth in the third quarter. You got your backup quarterback in. There's 89,000 angry fans in Orange doing the hook'em thing down there. The finish of the game, the two scores in the fourth quarter, and I saw Jake Funk run on the ball, and I always tip my cap to him because he ran over my Dundalk Owls in the state championship a year and a half ago. So I always know Jake Funk's name. He's my favorite Terp. You can let him know that when I see him. But that kind of an answer, that means that when you get on that plane and come back home, there's no thought that going to Ohio State or Michigan or anywhere that you're going to wet yourself getting off the plane, right? I mean, they really showed something on more than anything, just winning, but the way they won and the way that they sort of folded up in the special teams and the early third quarter, all the things that teams do. Good teams do go on the road against a tough opponent, stay in there a little bit, hang in there a little bit, but in the end get beaten. There was a little thought of that in the third quarter if you're a Terps fan, like, well, it was a nice first half. We'll hang our hats on that if we lose by 10 points here in the end. But they didn't.
No, they didn't. They did not give up, and I think that Durkin's done a great job getting these kids to be focused on what they can do, focused on the successes they can have, and even though the whole team played extremely well down the stretch and played clutch football, you have to give some extra credit to the freshman quarterback, Kasim Hill. He came in there. They had no problems throwing the ball right off the bat. He was comfortable. He looked confident. He took that ball down the field. That 3rd and 19 play was a big-time football play, big-time college football play. That's the throw that college coaches want to see a quarterback in high school throw, because that is the toughest throw to throw on a football field. And for him to do it at that stage of the game with a 3-point ball game and then punching it in himself from 3 yards out, that just showed so much maturity in what Durkin has been talking about, how this kid has been ready since the day he stepped on campus. And if he has to take over the reins, I think they're totally confident in him doing that. And so are his teammates. And like you said, I don't think anybody's really going to be like a deer in headlights for any team that they're going to play. They may be overmatched in some games, but they're not going to be deer in headlights going into anybody that they're going to play this year.
You get a little feeling, you give the ball to Ty Johnson 25, 30 times in some of these Big Ten games, that some good things might really happen. I mean, I know the quarterbacking is a part of this in the passing game and getting the ball to Moore and Jacobs, but running the ball is what they wanted to do against a team that's really built to stop it. I mean, I was kind of shocked that they could run the ball against Texas the way they did. I think that bodes well for Big Ten.
It does, and this is what Walt Bell wants to do. He wants to run the ball. He feels that's the bread and butter. That's the way that you're going to win. That's the way that you can manipulate a defense. Again, you bring that. You have a running game that works. They have to respect it defensively, and when you respect the run like that, that's what sets up the big play. Come on, 10 plays over 20 yards for TDs in that one game. I mean, that's the type of football that Walt Bell's used to playing, and I think that's the type of football we're going to be expecting to see for the rest of the years, is big time, running. Ty Johnson's unbelievable. He doesn't have much movement. He doesn't have many cuts. He just runs so hard, so fast, and is able to use let's give some credit to the line, too. I think the line did a great job opening up some holes for these guys, especially for Ty. But the way that Ty runs the ball, his big home run ability, it's really exciting, and I'm really excited to see what this team can do going forward.
Tim Strachan can be found out on Twitter at T13Strachan, and anytime the Terps playing football, he is on the radio dial as a longtime Terps color analyst. Hey, we got a real season here, Tim. This is fun, right? I mean, it beats talking about losses, that's for sure.
Oh, my God. That game was so much fun to do. The style of play was so much fun to watch. It was so much fun to analyze. It was so much fun to see, what the next play was going to be, how he was setting up the defense, the way that the defense went out and played aggressive and hard. There's a lot of playmakers on this football team. You're right. There is a season in front of us, and I'm excited about it. And just from me being out and about and around ever since that Texas game, I have a feeling that a lot of people in our area, in the D.C., DMV, Baltimore area, everybody, really excited to see what's going to happen with this team.
Hey, man, we'll be following you, and keep the faith down there with the Turtles. And, I got a lot of Towson fans up here in the audience. Don't beat them up too bad, okay?
No, this is a series that's gone on a couple times, and I think it's great for Towson to have the opportunity to come down to College Park, play in an FBS team like this. It's great for both programs, and I'm looking forward to a fun day. And, I hope that Towson can give Maryland a little bit of a fight. They still need a little bit challenges and some adversity to overcome, even against a team like Towson, and I think they're going to put up a fight. It'll be a fun game to do.
Don't tell anybody, but I'm rooting for the Terps, okay?
All right, I won't.
All right, there you go. Tim Strachan joining us here, T13 Strachan, out on Twitter as well, longtime radio color voice of the Terps, and they are excited in College Park, as they should be. Towson going down there this weekend. Yes, we do have football on Saturdays, but we also have football on Sunday. The Ravens down at Cincinnati. I will be on the scene at Paul Brown Stadium all day Sunday. Luke is going to be on the backfields all week long, as well as monitoring the Orioles as they make their trip to Northern Ohio, and the Terps make their Ohio trip on the 7th of October when they play Ohio State. Maybe they'll be undefeated then. Who knows? But the Terps schedule now, Ohio State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, got to start looking at these games a little bit because the Terps, after going to Texas, I would say at 1-0, they are now bowl eligible, at least in our minds. Nasty at WNST.net finds me out on the internet. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Anything you missed, you can always find us out in the bio, Toyota.com Audio Vault podcast. Listen when you want, where you want, how you want. It's what the kids do these days out on the interweb. Our morning newspaper delivers digitally to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's free of charge. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Last but never least, our breaking news, WNST Tech Service is our best service. About 10,000 of you now on it for all breaking news. And certainly the Ravens had a lot of breaking news over the weekend. The Orioles with the rosters moved around. This is about as an exciting a month of sports, I think, as we could have. We got our first trip to London. We're throwing a huge party over in London on the Saturday before the game. I hope to see your face in our place at the Fox at XL in the East Docklands area of London near the O2 Arena. We are going to be taking the Emirates Air cable car across the River Thames, one of the coolest things you can do in London. We've got that scheduled for 2:52 on Saturday afternoon. All of the details up at WNST.net. If you're going to London, you got friends going to London, tell them to stop by and party with us. We'd love to see them. I am Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net finds me, and we are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.